In today's world, we are constantly pulled in many directions. Voices, opinions, distractions, they surround us like a storm. But in the middle of every storm, there is a place of silence. That silence is you. You see, the path of growth, the path of mastery, does not begin by watching others, it begins by watching yourself. Just like the Shaolin monk who trains in solitude, not to impress, not to compete, but to understand his own mind, his own spirit. So today, I invite you to walk with me, not to compare, not to judge, but to focus, to return to the only place where strength is forged, within, because only when you focus on yourself can you begin to shape the life that was always meant to be yours. In the journey of self-development, one of the most subtle yet powerful distractions is comparison. It is easy, almost automatic, to look around and measure ourselves against others. In our daily lives, we compare our achievements, our appearance, our progress, and even our struggles. This habit is deeply ingrained, and it often happens without conscious thought. But what we fail to realize is that this constant comparison takes us away from the present moment. It steals our presence. Presence is the state of being fully aware and engaged with what is happening here and now. It is the foundation of mindfulness, of clarity, and of inner peace. When you are truly present, you are able to see yourself as you are, not as others are, not as you think others expect you to be. But when your mind is occupied with the lives of others, your attention is no longer centered on your own life. You begin to live through someone else's story rather than writing your own. Comparison shifts your focus outward. It makes you chase images and standards that were never meant for you. You begin to walk paths that are not yours, carry burdens that do not belong to you, and desire outcomes that are not aligned with your true self. Instead of listening to your own voice, you listen to the noise of the world. Instead of honoring your journey, you question it, and in that questioning, your presence dissolves. You are here, but not really. Your body may be in one place, but your mind is lost somewhere else, judging, measuring, wishing, resenting. What makes comparison so deceptive is that it often masquerades as motivation. You may tell yourself, if they can do it, I should too. Or, look how far ahead they are, I need to catch up. On the surface, it appears to be a push toward improvement, but beneath the surface, it is often rooted in insecurity and lack. True motivation does not arise from lack, it arises from purpose. True growth is not driven by fear of being less, it is driven by the desire to become more of who you are. The world we live in today amplifies this tendency to compare. Social media is a constant stream of curated lives, filtered realities, and exaggerated success. You are not just comparing yourself to your immediate circle anymore. You are comparing yourself to a global stage, often without context, without truth. You see the results, but not the process. You see the highlight, but not the pain behind it. And yet, you question your own life in the shadow of what you see. In doing so, you weaken your presence. You forget the value of your own experience. Presence is not just about awareness, it is also about acceptance. When you are present, you accept what is. You accept yourself, your journey, your pace. This does not mean complacency. It means clarity. You are no longer chasing others. You are walking your own path with intention. But when comparison enters, acceptance disappears. You reject where you are. You deny your growth. You see your progress as insufficient, and you begin to lose the connection to your inner world. The practice of being present requires discipline. It is not passive. It is an active decision to bring your attention back, again and again. When the mind wanders into comparison, it is a signal, not a failure. It is an opportunity to return, to observe without judgment, to see what triggered the comparison, and to gently guide your awareness back to yourself. This practice, repeated consistently, builds inner strength. It sharpens your focus and teaches you to honor your own rhythm. Each person walks a unique path. What you carry, what you have lived through, the lessons you are meant to learn, these are all different from those around you. Comparison assumes sameness where there is none. It is an illusion that everyone should be moving at the same pace, achieving the same goals, facing the same challenges. But reality is far more complex. Life is not a race, it is not a competition. It is a deeply personal journey of unfolding, and presence is the only way to truly experience it. To regain your presence, you must first become aware of when it is lost. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Notice when your thoughts begin to fixate on someone else's success, appearance, or lifestyle. Notice the emotions that arise: envy, doubt, inadequacy. These emotions are not wrong, but they are signals. They are telling you that your attention has drifted. They are reminding you that you are no longer centered. When you recognize this, pause, breathe, bring your awareness back to where you are, to what you are doing, to who you are becoming. In that moment of return, you reclaim your presence, you reclaim your power. Discipline is not something that appears overnight. It is not gifted, inherited, or stumbled upon. It is cultivated, and often it is cultivated in solitude. In a world that constantly demands attention, praises busyness, and encourages distraction, the value of being alone with oneself is increasingly overlooked. Yet it is in those quiet, unseen moments that discipline is born. Solitude strips away the noise. It removes the external validations and opinions, the comparisons and judgments. It leaves you alone with your thoughts, your habits, your desires, and your weaknesses. For many, this is uncomfortable. The silence becomes a mirror, and what it reflects is not always easy to face. But this is the beginning of real inner work. Without distraction, without someone else's influence, you are left with only one person to confront: yourself. And in that confrontation, there is the opportunity for transformation. Discipline does not begin with motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls with mood, with circumstance, with emotion. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It is a decision to do what must be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. It is a commitment to long-term growth rather than short-term comfort, and the ability to maintain that commitment is sharpened in solitude. Without the crowd to encourage you, without recognition or applause, will you still train, still rise, still push forward? This is the test, and it is in that quiet space that the answer is revealed. Solitude offers clarity. When you are alone, you are not performing for anyone. There is no image to uphold, no role to play. You begin to hear your true voice underneath the noise. You begin to understand your own patterns, what drives you, what distracts you, what holds you back. Discipline requires this understanding. You cannot master what you do not see. The solitude becomes your training ground, where every action is intentional, where every thought can be observed, where every reaction becomes a teacher. Training the mind and body without the influence of others allows your discipline to become rooted in authenticity. It is no longer about meeting expectations or earning approval. It becomes a practice of honoring your own standards, your own values, your own goals. This kind of discipline cannot be shaken by external changes because it was not built on external factors. It was forged within, tested in silence, and strengthened by repetition. Over time, what once felt like effort becomes identity. What once required force becomes flow. Many seek discipline in group settings, hoping that community will help them stay consistent. And while support has its place, the core of discipline is internal. When you depend solely on others for accountability, you have not yet developed true self-control. The question is not whether you can stay committed when someone is watching. The question is whether you can stay committed when no one is. Solitude reveals that answer. It shows you your level of integrity, your resilience, and your will. There is a difference between isolation and chosen solitude. One is rooted in disconnection, the other in intention. Solitude is not about escaping the world, but about returning to yourself. It is the sacred space where you check in, recalibrate, and refine. Discipline requires this regular return. Without it, your actions may lose direction. You may begin to act out of habit rather than purpose, or chase results without understanding the process. Solitude restores focus. It reminds you why you started, and it helps you course correct when you drift. In solitude, time slows down. You begin to notice the details, the way your mind resists discomfort, the excuses that arise, the habits that sabotage your progress. This awareness is the first step toward change. You cannot build discipline on denial. You must see yourself clearly, and solitude grants you that clarity. It shows you where you are and what needs to be strengthened. There is no one else to blame, no one else to hide behind. This responsibility is not a burden, it is power, because when you take full responsibility, you also gain full control. Discipline built in solitude carries a quiet strength. It does not seek recognition or validation. It does not boast or demand attention. It is simply present, unwavering, like the roots of a tree. Others may not see the hours of silent work, the moments of struggle, the inner battles fought and won. But that is not the point. The reward of discipline is not applause. It is the person you become in the process. The confidence that arises from doing what needs to be done every day, regardless of who is watching. This kind of discipline creates freedom, the freedom to choose to act, to live with purpose, because you are no longer ruled by impulse or laziness or fear. You have trained yourself to respond, not react, to stay steady in discomfort, to keep moving even when the motivation is gone, and all of this begins not in the presence of others, but in the quiet space where it is just you, your breath, your thoughts, and your choices. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Where you choose to direct it determines the quality of your life, your growth, your peace, and your purpose. Every thought, every emotion, every action requires energy. Yet many people live unconsciously, scattering their attention in all directions without awareness. In this scattered state, they wonder why they feel exhausted, unfulfilled, or stuck. The answer often lies in one simple truth: your energy flows where your attention goes. Attention is focus. It is what you choose to give your mind to. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, learning to control it becomes an act of self-mastery. Notifications, conversations, opinions, fears, expectations, all of these things are pulling at you. And every time you give in to these distractions, you give away your energy. Bit by bit, moment by moment, you become drained not because you're doing too much, but because you are focused on too many things that don't serve your path. Whatever you focus on grows. This is not philosophy, it is reality. If you focus on problems, you feed them. If you focus on doubt, it deepens. If you focus on lack, it expands. But the same is true in the opposite direction. If you focus on gratitude, your awareness of abundance increases. If you focus on progress, your confidence builds. If you focus on solutions, you start to see possibilities. Your life begins to reflect your inner world. Not because of luck, but because you are investing your energy in what truly matters. Discipline of attention is not just about avoiding distraction. It is about choosing purpose. It requires you to be conscious of what you are thinking about, what you are giving emotional weight to, and what you are allowing to influence your state of mind. So many people spend hours each day focused on things beyond their control, what others are doing, what others think, or what might go wrong. In doing so, they create internal tension and external stagnation. The mind becomes busy but not productive, active but not aligned. When you begin to take ownership of your attention, your energy starts to shift. You begin to notice which thoughts drain you and which thoughts empower you. You notice how certain habits, conversations, or environments leave you feeling depleted, while others leave you feeling focused and calm. This awareness is not always comfortable, but it is essential. Because it is only by noticing where your energy leaks that you can begin to seal those gaps and redirect your power. There is a direct relationship between attention and presence. The more present you are, the more deliberate your attention becomes. When you are fully engaged in the now, your energy is concentrated. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions. You are here, doing one thing at a time, with intention and clarity. This is the state where creativity flows, where performance improves, where growth accelerates. But it requires effort. The mind will wander, the world will distract, and every time it happens, you are given a choice: return or remain scattered. Learning to focus your attention is a daily practice. It is not something you master once and forget. It must be strengthened like a muscle. You build it by noticing when your mind drifts and gently bringing it back. You build it by setting boundaries around your time and your space. You build it by deciding what deserves your attention and what does not. And over time, this builds a deep reservoir of energy that you can access when needed, because it has not been carelessly spent. Energy that is focused becomes power. It becomes momentum. When your thoughts, actions, and intentions are all moving in the same direction, you become a force. You begin to move forward in your goals with more speed and less resistance. The distractions still exist, but they no longer control you. You are no longer reacting to everything around you. You are responding with purpose, grounded in clarity. Focusing your attention also reveals your true priorities. It shows you what you really value, not just what you say you value. If your energy consistently goes toward fear, drama, or competition, that is what you are feeding. But if your energy is going toward learning, healing, creating, or growing, then you are building something meaningful. The alignment between your values and your focus becomes the foundation of your inner peace. In the end, energy is not infinite. Each day offers only a certain amount, and once it is spent, it cannot be regained. The question is not whether you have enough energy. The question is, where is it going? What are you feeding with your focus? What are you creating with your attention? When you begin to live with this awareness, you take back control. Not of the world around you, but of the world within you. And from that center, you begin to shape your life in alignment with who you truly are. Mastery is not an outcome, but a process, a journey that begins with self-observation. Before any skill can be refined, before any discipline can be truly developed, one must first learn to look inward with honesty and clarity. The external achievements, the visible results, the recognition that may come, these are all byproducts. The true transformation happens in the invisible space where you begin to witness your own thoughts, behaviors, and patterns without judgment, just awareness. Most people seek mastery by looking outward. They mimic others, follow systems, compare themselves to those who are further along. But without first understanding yourself, all these efforts remain shallow. You may copy someone's habits, but if you do not know your own triggers, your own distractions, your own limitations, the habits will not last. Self-observation is the root of sustainable growth because it connects you to your own truth. It does not rely on external structure, it builds internal alignment. To observe yourself is not the same as to criticize yourself. Criticism comes from ego, it seeks to label, to punish, to judge. Observation comes from awareness. It simply sees what is without attachment or resistance. In this space of observation, change becomes possible because you are not reacting, you are witnessing. You are beginning to understand the causes behind the effects, the thoughts behind the actions, the emotions behind the habits. And with that understanding, you gain the power to shift. Every day, your mind creates stories. Some of them are empowering, others are limiting. Without self-observation, you live through these stories without questioning them. You believe every thought, accept every emotion, and act from impulse rather than intention. But when you begin to observe, you create space between the stimulus and the response. In that space, there is choice. You can choose to pause, you can choose to respond with clarity, you can choose to redirect your energy toward what aligns with your deeper purpose. Self-observation also reveals your inner conflicts. The parts of you that want growth and the parts of you that resist it, the part of you that seeks discipline and the part that craves comfort. Most people try to silence or ignore this conflict, pretending it doesn't exist. But it is only through observing these opposing forces that you begin to integrate them. Mastery is not about eliminating resistance. It is about understanding it so deeply that it no longer controls you. Stillness is a powerful tool in this process. In stillness, the distractions fade, and the mind begins to reveal itself. It shows you where it wanders, what it clings to, what it fears. These insights cannot be forced. They arise naturally when space is created. The more you practice stillness and self-observation, the more familiar you become with your own inner world, and from this familiarity comes wisdom. You begin to see the patterns that have shaped your life, many of which you never consciously chose. Mastery is not perfection. It is not the absence of mistakes, but the presence of awareness in the midst of them. A master is not someone who never falls, but someone who knows exactly why they fell and how to rise again with deeper understanding. This ability to reflect and adjust quickly comes from a well-developed habit of self-observation. Without it, you repeat the same mistakes and call it fate. With it, you learn from everything and call it growth. In relationships, in work, in physical training, in emotional healing, self-observation is the common thread that elevates each area. When you are aware of how you react to pressure, how you respond to feedback, how you behave when no one is watching, you begin to refine yourself. Not to impress others, but to become the person you are meant to be. This refinement is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, consistent, and deeply personal. To observe yourself requires humility. It means accepting that you do not know everything about yourself, that there are blind spots and shadows yet to be uncovered. It also requires courage, the courage to face discomfort, to acknowledge truths that may challenge your self-image. But with this humility and courage, self-observation becomes a sacred practice, a daily meeting with the self, a way to reconnect with your intention, your values, your direction. There are no shortcuts to mastery. There is no external guide that knows your inner world better than you do. Others may offer tools, techniques, or teachings, but unless you learn to watch yourself, those tools remain surface level. They only become effective when applied through awareness. The more you observe, the more precise you become. Your actions become more intentional, your words more thoughtful, your habits more aligned with who you truly are. Mastery becomes less about control and more about presence. Less about doing and more about being. Because when you truly know yourself, you begin to move through the world not from reaction, but from wisdom. So, when you choose to *** focus on yourself, not others ***, you begin a journey that is deeper than competition, louder than applause, and more lasting than praise. You stop chasing shadows and start building substance. You realize that discipline grows in silence, that your energy is sacred and must be guarded, that attention is power, and that mastery begins the moment you observe yourself with honesty. The world may try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but your true strength lies in your ability to remain centered, intentional, and rooted in your path. You are not here to follow the noise. You are here to become the stillness that shapes it.